Hi, welcome back to the channel. So it's kind of all gone wrong. So you know that thing when you have an idea in your head, and basically I've got a couple of bikes to sell, and the sort of plan is to sell both bikes and then buy something really cool. And I've been going around dealerships, etc. and I put both bikes up for sale, and that was all about to happen, and then it goes wrong. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump on the bike, go for a ride, and I'll tell you all about it. Cue the intro.
So, are you ready for that sort of long-winded story about a lot of set of events and where it's kind of brought me to right to this moment? So, the plan was to sell my Triumph Tiger that's an XC 2011 and my 2010 Bonneville SE, and I got this idea in my head that I want to go to a cruiser. But I also want to go to sort of a lightweightish cruiser, but I want to go to a cruiser, and you know, part of me was struggling a little bit with the height of the Tiger, and it's a lot of it's, as I said in previous videos, in my head. But I thought, you know what, I want a relaxed cruiser style because I'm not a fast rider. So anyway, I decided to the crunch that I was going to sell both bikes, and I was going to buy myself either a brand new bike or reasonably newish bike, depending obviously costs. So I kind of did this thing of, you know, looking around and came up with these three bikes that you would have seen in my previous video that I quite liked. So I went on the hunt looking around. Now the first place I went to was Kawasaki, and Kawasaki was the Vulcan 650S. Now the reason why I went there first was it was the cheaper out of the three bikes, and by far it was the it looked like the lightest, easiest bike, and I thought, you know what, it might tick a lot of boxes, and potentially with the sale of both of my bikes, I'll have the cash in my hand to walk in and go, what deal can you offer me? I'll take it. So I went down and I had a look, and I looked, and it was obviously in the line of bikes that you get into, and it was alright. I looked at it going, do you know what, it's not too bad, I quite like that. So I asked a question, as you do, about part exchange, going, do you know what, if you guys can offer me a really great price, I'll part exchange both bikes and I'll order a brand new Kawasaki Vulcan S. No, you've got to test the market, see what they come back with. Anyway, it took them, because it was over the New Year time, and they were closed and open, etc. I don't think the guy that deals with sales was in when I was chatting to them, so he took some information down, and I had a phone call that was probably about 4 or 5 days later about my part exchanges, and then he asked the same questions I'd already said, and then he went away to come up with a price. Now they came back with, to be completely honest, a really rubbish price, what you expect from a main dealer when you're taking a part exchange, and they came back with a price of £5,000, and that's nowhere near enough for both these bikes, to be completely honest, as they're both, in my opinion, nice bikes. Well, was. Anyway, go back to it. So yeah, so the £5,000 price came in, and obviously even he said, look, I know you're going to get more elsewhere for them. I said, yeah, what I'll do is I'll go and sell them, have a think about all the things I want to do. So what I did was I went to another Kawasaki dealer that had a few in stock and a few used, and what I decided to do was, thinking I get a better look, I'll go over and I'll do that. So I went for like the long drive over to this other Kawasaki garage, and I basically went in and had the sort of whole look around the bikes, and I've got to be honest, what happened was my brain suddenly changed to, they don't look all that well built. Now I know they are going to be well built because it's Kawasaki, but they just look quite cheap and plasticky, and again they're the bottom end of their market as well. And I just thought, going from Triumph, where Triumph do a absolutely cracking job at their sort of fit and finish, I know I'm going to be disappointed with that bike. And even more so, what's even more so annoying is that over time I think I would have regretted it. So I kind of ruled the Vulcan out of my head for that reason. It just looks plastically cheap, and I know you're going to have some Vulcan people who turn around and say they're not. I get the reviews for them are fantastic. It just doesn't look like a great fit and finish compared to what I'm used to. So I kind of always said in many videos, the Harley Davidson I want to itch that scratch. One day I'm going to own a Harley Davidson. Now, in my opinion, Harley Davidsons are extremely expensive for what they are. They're great bikes, there's no shadow of a doubt about it, and I really want to ride one, but they're really expensive. So the Road King, for an example, is a 20 grand bike. £20,000, that's well above my budget, especially at the moment, so I kind of ruled that out. But I had a look again at Harley Davidson and what they have to offer, and I'll go back to my previous sort of thing I was saying. I want something that's not over the top to do with weight and size. And I found the Harley Davidson 1200T Sportster. T stands for touring, so it comes with a touring screen. It comes with plastic panniers that have got leather coating, so they've got that leather coating look, but you know you're going to get your stuff dry and they're not going to get ruined because they're actually made out of plastic. And the one I was looking at and found had the backrest with the bars, the sissy bars on the back, so I can strap my luggage to. And I was like, do you know what, that's a nice looking Harley, and it's not huge, but it's an upgrade from what I've got, and that probably suit me perfectly. And I found that one second hand at 2017, and at this time it's up for just shy of £7,500. And again, in theory, the price of both of my bikes basically covers that, or very close to. Awesome. I like that. That's the one I'm going to have. So I go on like everyone else does and go, do you know what, I'm going to give my bikes a good clean, take some photographs, and I'll stick them up on the good old eBay. Because modern day, what I generally find trying to sell any vehicles, if you're not part exchanging, is hard work. And eBay seems to be the place, again in my opinion, where you're going to sell. Because everybody seems to go to there when buying vehicles, not the old-fashioned days of the papers. And I know we've got things like other sites like Facebook doing marketplace, but I've generally found when I've listed things on there, I get a lot of scammers and things trying to sort of scam me. And I had almost the same when I put it onto eBay. I've had quite a few emails offering me money for the bikes and from different countries, etc, etc, and none of it came actually true, and I would never give out any of my personal information until things like deposits and stuff is paid. So anyway, they are up there for sale, and there's a lot of interest going on, a lot of questions, and I know there's a lot of people are starting to put in bids, and the reserve is set, in my opinion, at a reasonable price, a little bit less than I actually wanted, hoping that it would go up to what I wanted, but a good price, so everyone would be happy. So I went out, I don't know now, a few days ago to my Tiger, and I decided I was going to take her for a spin. So I got in all my bike gear, I walked up to the bike, and I turned the key. And it powered up, but it flickered, and then it died. And I was like going, oh no, there might be a problem with it. And then I thought, oh, do you know what? I bet the battery needs to be changed, because, you know, it's probably the original battery, because it's like a 9-year-old bike now, so that battery's done really, 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 really well. So I tested the battery, because I have a battery test. I used to, believe it or not, be a mechanic, so I decided that I was going to test it all, make sure it's properly, and it was reading weak, and it's on a trickle charger, so I look after my batteries. It's well, you know, it should be well charged. And I thought, bonus, so it's just the battery. Anyway, the batteries, as per recommended, because I always try and buy recommended, are quite expensive. So using my old contacts and my trade card that I've still got, etc., I managed to get a really good deal on a battery. So I bought a battery, put the battery in, happy days, turn the key, it's completely dead. And they're going, no, that's not good at all. I was like, oh no. And then I went, right, okay, I need to go through the fuses and check the fuses. None of the fuses are blown, and they're going, what's going on with this? Is the battery I've just put in a dead battery? Tested the battery, battery's fine. I don't know what to do. So, as we all do, the good old world of Google and YouTube, I managed to research to find out that they've got actually what's a really silly place. Okay, so in the battery itself, where the battery is kept underneath the seat itself, underneath there, some of the wiring going, there's a master fuse and a connector. Now, it's at the bottom of the battery. Now, the problem what you've got with where they've put it, which I said is a daft place, because any water that collects to the bottom and goes out the drainage hole. And the idea of it is it's to keep the electrics from getting wet. But obviously you get condensation, and it's right at the bottom of the well where you put this master fuse. So I was like, oh, great. So I took everything off. You have to take out loads of stuff. Wiring, you have to take off like a CPU unit. You just have to dig right down deep, a load of connectors to get to it. Got to it, pulled it out, and behold or not, the fuse was gone, and it looked like it had quite a lot of condensation. You go, again, do you know what, where they've put it, it's not in years now, it's probably done quite well, that's not too bad. Everything about the connector looked perfectly fine. Brilliant. So, I've got a load of fuses, happy days, I've got a 30 amp fuse, click it in, put it all back together, turn the key, boom, the bike fires up. Now, it takes the bike a good few minutes for it to go through whatever systems, checks, etc. it's got to go through. And I primed the fuel pump a couple of times, and then it fired up, fantastic. Put the bike away, because by the time I'd done all of this, I wasn't obviously going for a ride. Put the bike away, left it for a couple of days, everything's fine. Okay, cool. Now, at this point, my listing I've put up is starting to come to an end, and there's some bids, like I said, going on. I'm like, do you know what, I'm going to do a final ride, and I actually come up with a really good title for a video that I'm going to save now, I won't spoil that, but... So, I was like, do you know what, I want a final ride on the Tiger. It's been a cracking bike, I did enjoy it, and I'm going to miss it. So, I put all my bike gear on again, walk to the bike, turn the key, powers up, awesome. Start the bike, ride round to the petrol station, fill it up. While I'm filling it up, the bike tries to start itself, and it's got no key in. And I'm going, what's going on with this? And I'm at the petrol pump, and the woman behind the counter was obviously looking over at me, because I was the only one at the petrol pump at the time, like standing there, wobbling my bike around, going, there's something going on here, this isn't good. So it's trying to start itself, and I went, right, I'm going to go and pay quickly, and I'm going to pull the bike to the side, and I'm going to see if I can get the... so it's got a little toolbox in the back under the seat as well. If I can get the battery off, disconnect it. Anyway, by the time I walked back to the bike, it was fine. It stopped doing it. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is what tripped it. What I'll do is, I'll take it for a spin around the block in case it's got some damp in there, or there's, been an issue. And if it doesn't clear when I come, if it doesn't clear or it has a problem, then I can get the bike back and I can fix it. Well, that was my first mistake. What I should have probably done is just left it where it was, and phoned the breakdown company and got the bike towed home. It wasn't very far. So, what happens next? This continues on. So I decided to take it for a spin around the block, thinking, it probably just needs a good run. It's gone all the way around Scotland. It's had a batter in. It needs a good run, and that's what it needs. And even the brakes and things felt all stiff when I pulled it out of the garage. I was like, it's probably just what it needs. So I took it for what I classed a good run. I took it out from the petrol station, around the corner, down a little bit of a country lane, and the bike just completely dies. And I go, no, you absolute plonker, why did you do that? That was a daft thing to do. So I thought, right, maybe it's this master fuse again. But what I'll do is I'll contact the good old AA breakdown company via my app, and I'll get them on their way, and if I can sort it, I can cancel the breakdown. So I pull off the seat, I get the little toolbox, and the one thing it's missing is the bit that connects into the top of the screwdriver that makes it into a proper screwdriver, so I could take the battery terminals off. And I'm like, you absolute pain up the bum. So I thought, it doesn't matter, they will give the AA their dues. They were only like 14 minutes away, and you can track them as well, so it's really cool. So I just thought, right, okay, hopefully whatever's arcing this across, I can give it a good scrub down and clean and change the fuse, it'll all be good. So the guy rocks up, lovely bloke, tell him about what's happened, what's been going on. I went, I know where it is, if we whip the battery off, we can check underneath. Anyway, we were peeing around, got everything off, and we were trying to get this, the master fuse assembly kind of out. But what we realised, after a short amount of time of tugging, trying to get this thing out, was that it basically melted where the master fuse goes and melted the plug together. So the guy sort of goes, look, I don't have anything I can tow your bike with, so what I'll do is I'll try and get the bits of the old fuse out, and then from there, once we've got the bits of the old fuse out, we will try and put a new fuse in, and if it can start, because you're only less than a quarter of a mile away from where you live, you can ride it back, I'll follow you, and you get back safely. And I said, okay, cool, that's brilliant. I need to backtrack a little bit here. I'd already rang the garage that takes good care of me up to find out that they were closed. They were still on call as such, but the guy said the best thing to do is get it towed home, and he'll come and collect it the next day. Just so I've done that bit. Anyway, going back to the guy. So he spent ages picking out bits of fuse and stuff out, put a new fuse in. He didn't have a 30 amp, he had a 25 amp. He goes, look, it's just to get you around the light corner. I went, looking at the state of that melted plug, mate, I don't think that's going to go. Anyway, he puts the fuse in, put it all back together, turned the key, the ignition powered up. Yes! 20 seconds later, boop, it's all dead again. So, there's me, side of the road, AA man, bike down, me peed off. The auction for the bike finishes within less than 24 hours. My entire plan in my head, boom, gone. I'm not an happy bunny. Just, but that's life. That's the way things go. So, the AA man goes, well, like I said, I don't have the recovery for a bike in the back of my van. I'm not one of those units, I have special units for that. He goes, we'll have to probably get you out a recovery truck. And knowing what they're like, it's going to be a good couple of hours. He goes, but as you're not too far away, if you're up for it, I'm up for it, we'll push it. And I went, it's quite a big bike, mate, that's quite a distance pull, and this has got a little bit of an uphill, etc. And he goes, no, between us, we'll give it a push. He goes, I don't want you sat here for 2 hours on the side of the road. And give him his dues, me and him, both of us are not in shape, start pushing this bike. And we're pushing it along, and I go to him, do you need a rest? He goes, no, I'll keep going if you want to keep going. I said, can I have a rest? I was sweating my bum off. I was like, oh no. But we kept going and we kept going. We pushed it, probably, like I said, around 1/4 of a mile back home. And I put it in the garage. And then today I've arranged, they've come out to collect the bike. So that's now gone off literally, probably less than an hour ago now. That bike has gone off to my favourite garage. I'm not going to start dropping names, but they're really good. But interesting, the guy, when he picked it up, turned and said, when I said to him I was thinking of selling it and buying a Harley, etc., he goes, well, it looks like a very well used bike. It's like, well, it's an adventure bike. It's being used as an adventure bike. So I get what he means. It's a used bike, but it's like, yeah, but it's what adventure bikes look like when you use them for adventuring. So anyway, so it's gone off to there to get fixed. But there's a few more twists to the story. So a few nights ago, I woke up. I was having a dream, and I was generally upset. Like, basically, my Bonneville that I'm riding right now had sold. This is the dream. And someone had come to collect it, and I saw it go off, and I was just like absolutely gutted. And since then, and since the stream, I've kind of going, I don't really want to sell the Bonnie. I really like that bike. I know I'm going to like my new bike if I get it right, but this is something I always wanted like a Bonneville. I know I mentioned that loads of times before, but I generally did. And I want the T100. This is the SE model, and I wanted the T100. But I've done a few things like the brown grips and seats that makes me really like this bike, and I like the way it rides. It's just a great, classic, lightweight, easy to use, fun machine. But anyway, it's currently under auction still at the minute. But this is where I'm at right now. This is it, okay? This bike ends soon, so I have to make this choice. Now, I think with the Tiger, it's going to cost me quite a few quid to get fixed. And worst case, and that is going to be expensive, it's going to need a wiring loom. Because I've got a feeling that somewhere, and it could just be in that connector with dampness, it's obviously arcing across where it's got the starter motor and trying to start it. Now, even worst case, it's blown the starter motor, but there could be some serious issues there. And if so, like I said, that's not going to be a cheap fix, and not a cheap fix at all. Now, I've already chucked in potentially around something 700 quid, I can't remember the exact bill now, when I had all the tyres, brakes and discs done to take it on the big adventure. And that's a recent thing, that's a chunk of money, and I'm like everyone else out there. Honestly, I don't have a bottomless end pit of cash. I have to budget my life and work really hard to achieve the things I want to do. And when I say work hard, I work excessive amount of hours just to achieve things. So yeah, I'm kind of at that point where it's like, if this is going to be a big bill, that's more money on that bike. And then I know this is not the way to look at it because it's wear and tear, but say for instance in total it's 1,000, 1,200 over me even having the brakes etc done, and this is probably even best case scenario, and I sell that bike for 3.5 grand. Really, I'm losing big time on an adventure bike I spent a lot of money on. I don't know. There's things I can do. So one of the things that I've actually asked the garage to do while they've come and collected it, I've given them back the stock exhaust you get with the bike, because the previous owner, had changed that exhaust for, I can't remember, it's either Scorpion or whoever it is, an exhaust, and that exhaust is so loud, it's unreal. So I have to put earplugs in, I have music playing through my Senecons, and it still, I kid you not, gives me a headache on a long run. So what I've done is I've asked them to take off that old the aftermarket exhaust and go back to stock, because to be quite frank, that is that would cause a big gripe with that bike for me, because it'll be quiet. Because stock exhaust on those is really quiet. That's why people change them. I actually quite like that. I like a noise, and I love a rumble, massively love a rumble. But there's also a level where it's like, actually I want quiet. And when you tour, honestly, quiet is exactly what you want, because you've got enough wind noise and stuff going on without that boo going in your ears constantly when you're going down the motorway. So I've asked them to put that on anyway, and I think that'll improve even if I wanted to sell the bike, because it's back to stock. And then the other thing I could do, if I decide to do what I'm probably going to end up having to do, I could put the bar risers on, so when I'm getting like pains in my hands, that'll probably eliminate it and bring it closer to me. It won't. The one thing it won't fix for me on the Tiger, that again I still think it's a cracking bike, is I generally think the height of the Tiger, I'm on my tiptoes when I go to pull up, and it's a confidence thing, because you can easily get around it, because I've been riding it, I've ridden it all over the place and I've enjoyed it. But having your feet flat on the ground makes you feel confident, and being on my tiptoes on a big heavy bike, especially fully laden, it kind of makes me think about it probably too much. But anyway, so I'm at the point now where it's like, do you know what? I'm going to spend all this money, so I really don't want to sell this Tiger. So do I keep my Tiger? And keep my Bonnie, and just crack on with this year and go, do you know what? I'm going to spend a lot of money out on the Tiger, set it up a little bit more how I like it, and carry on. And then maybe next year, when I've kind of had a year, hopefully, of not big bills coming through, part exchange, or maybe just buy outright a Harley Davidson then. I don't know. I don't know what I'll be like financially in a year's time. Who does? But I know for a fact I should be, if I don't squander loads of money on things, because last year was a big year, I should be better off. I don't know. It's like everyone else, isn't it? It's such a tough decision. I really have this Harley Davidson itch that I need to scratch. It's got to happen. I want to own one, and I want to go on a big tour on one, etc. I don't know. I do know and I don't know. At the moment, I'm probably going to pull this Bonneville when I get back from this ride off of its auction and keep it, because I just think this bike is so cool. It's just an awesome machine. And I'll probably not relist the Tiger and keep it at least for this year and get some use out of all this money I've spent on it. I know it'll still decline in money because it'll be another year old, but not by a lot at the age that it's at, if I'm completely honest. Or I could just part exchange that. I'm very much about keeping them at the minute because of sheer amount of money. I don't know if you can hear the wind, but it is so windy today. So yeah, that's kind of the long-winded going on and on and on and on and on story about everything that's happened, and left me where that is. So I've got a couple of other things I'm going to mention, and I'll do that face to face in a second, because I've had a couple of nice things happen as well recently, so I'm going to bring them up and give you guys a chance to find them and see them. That's the story.
So there's a couple of things I want to mention, and I want to start off with what I think is quite an amazing thing. So there's another YouTuber who's called Ian Landsman, and he basically has followed my channel from early on, and I've followed his, and we've had a lot of contact, and he does like a regular sort of like vlog, sort of diary when he rides. He's got a really nice channel, but he's basically had some stickers made, and he sent me a sticker, I kid you not, here it is. He sent me a sticker all the way from the States, and he sent me a awesome letter what's telling me about his stuff. But check him out, go to his channel, Ian Landsman. It's really sort of a day-to-day sort of blog when he can get them up, and it's quite interesting. He talks about all different sorts of things, bikes, stuff going on in their country, stuff going on locally. It's quite cool, so check that out. And then the other news is what is proper awesome. So I was lucky enough to make it into what I think is the best magazine in the UK. And finally, in the last couple of days, it's come up for sale. So if you see this cover, check it out, buy it, midway through, half-page spread, that's me. And I'd love to hear your comments if you do buy it and you do read it. That would be really, really cool. It doesn't mention the YouTube channel. That's a little bit disappointing, but it does put my name in there, and it does, like I said, it's half-page spread about day 3 of the big adventure. So I'm quite excited about that. I still won't 100% know what I'm going to do yet, bike-wise. I'm very much in the mind of keeping the Bonneville, keeping the Tiger after it's going to cost me, I'm pretty sure, a load of money, and having another 12 months enjoying them, and then reworking out the decision what I'm going to do then. I don't know. But the most important thing is what I want to get back to is better footage again, more adventures, a trip. That's kind of where my heart is set. My heart is based on riding that motorcycle to sort of cool places and checking them out, and the adventure, more than it is kind of like going through what I'm going through at the minute, and that's just sort of chatting and just doing a blog. I like to do more filming. So anyway, if you haven't, as always, if you possibly could subscribe, give us a thumbs up, that would mean well to me. And I look forward to seeing you hopefully on an adventure, and hopefully, well, an update I suppose on the Tiger and where the where all the money's going on that, and what my plan is. Worst case is I will get rid of the Tiger and I'll replace it for a Harley. Best case of it is I don't know, I just get given a Harley Davidson, I suppose. I've got to itch a scratch, haven't I? Got to do it. But anyway, catch you next time. Take care. Goodbye.